Okay, and you are ready for October, my man. Go Cowboy Cone! Yeah! Hey everybody, Techie101 here, here to review Bleach chapter number 645, titled, Don't Chase Shadows. Okay, you know what? You don't tell me what to do, Kubo, alright? I have had a freaking issue with my shadow for the past 3 years on this show, and you know what? You don't tell me to chase him is just like saying don't pursue your goals and ambitions. I am tired of that smarky son of a bitch always looking up at me. Oh, look, like, right, he's doing it right now, he's doing it right now! Duh. Okay, you freaking achromatic, transparent motherfucker, bring it on! I am totally chasing you now! Yeah, man, Slim Jims fucking rock!
Oh, what?
Oh yeah, they're great, as long as you don't want a heart attack at age 26.
What? So, does he know he has to come back to do the review, or does he just expect one of us to...
Oh, shit. Why did it have to be today? Ha 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 ha. Yes. Finally, I have emerged from my slumber.
Hey bro, you want a Slim Jim?
I hate you. Oh no, I'm quite alright, Rad, but thanks for asking. You've been asleep for like a year and you choose to wake up today. Why? Ha! But don't you see? This is the first day of October. A day where the demons of the dead rise from their crypts, and the border between hell and earth is torn asunder, allowing all creatures of evil to ravage the world. Oh, yeah, and zombies too, right? No! Not zombies! Nobody likes zombies. That was a cheap gimmick and everybody knows it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take over this show. Oh, okay, I see. We're doing one of those bits this month. Okay, well, you have fun with that, Edward Cullen. I'm just gonna go and... You know what? I don't even need an excuse for you people. I just don't like to be around you. Yes, now, if I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to have to come up with a very clever intro sketch to get the viewer's attention. Oh, I know. Maybe I could do something with... Yeah. So, in case you didn't figure it out, that was the intro sketch. So, you know, in case you're new to the channel or something, yeah. Oh, hey, look, it's Giant Me! Rock on, Giant Me! Yeah! Huh, you're a cowboy. This amuses me. Anyway, chapter 645 review, go! So the chapter begins with an inner monologue by Sternritter X Lilia Barrow, who's trying to piece together for the life of him how the hell Shunsui appeared behind him in the last chapter. So we had Lilia on top of a building, I don't know the exact distance, but it was probably like a good mile away, given his marksmanship. He could easily hit a target from that far away, and he was on top of like a, I don't know, 10, 20-story building, and he's taking shots, and all of a sudden he hits Shunsui, and he turns around, and Shunsui's right behind him, cuts off his gun barrel. So he's trying to piece it together exactly how he showed up there, while Shunsui's just acting all really cool and just not really, you know he's awesome. You know, Shunsui's just like, yeah, I appeared behind you, bro. What are you gonna do about it, huh? You wanna try to figure that out? Yeah, all that Shunsui does is respond with the trolling comments and is just like, don't ever tell me you've never played Darama-san Fell Over before. Oh yeah, that explains everything right there. Totally. So, yeah, this chapter's one of those things where we basically just have both characters explain their powers back and forth, but it does make a little bit of sense here, because with Shunsui's abilities with making children's games reality, I guess it would make sort of more sense for him to explain the rules to his opponent so they can actually play a game, and this mirrors something that Shunsui says later in the chapter, but we don't really get any action, so to speak. It's mostly all talking, so, yeah. We get the title page, and then we have Shunsui being confused as the fact that, well, the Quincy's are from a different culture than the Shinigami are, so they probably have never even played, or maybe not even heard of Daruma-san Fell Over, so there's no way that they would know about it. But yes, this is the kind of game that's played pretty much throughout the world. The only difference is what it's called depending on where you are, which culture you grew up with it. In this area, it would be referred to as red light, green light, but the same basic concept is the same. And the rules will be explained by Shunsui later. But anyway, before we get into that, we see Nanao appearing from the shadows. Keep in mind with that, shadows, it kind of plays a big deal later on. But anyway, Nanao is behind Shunsui in the shadows, and Shunsui brings up how skillful Nanao has become to the point that she could now follow Shunsui by playing the game also. So whatever technique that Shunsui used to get from the ground to wherever Lilia was on top of the building, Nanao was able to be skilled enough to follow him and do the exact same thing. So he's, remarking that that's pretty cool, but that Nanao should get out of there before shit gets too intense as their battle is about to begin. And Nanao says flat out, no, I'm not doing that. To which Shunsui's like, oh, okay, well, could you go at least tell everybody that I'm gonna be, facing off against this dude so they can move forward? And with that, she says fine, but she'll be back right after she relays the message. And right before she leaves, she states, you better not get yourself killed or I'm going to shave all the chest hair off your lifeless corpse. Okay. Oh, that's cruel. We're talking about my defining characteristic. Really? That's your defining characteristic? The open chest hair? You're one of the most uniquely drawn characters in the entire series, but the thing that makes you really stand out is you got your chest hair going on. It's not the casa hat or the kimono or the hairpins or your hair in general or the mustache goatee you got going on or the eye patch. Well, it's definitely not the eye patch because that changes places every single time you appear in a different panel. But, you're really going with the open chest hair? That's your defining characteristic? You have two swords, which is in itself a very unique thing in the Bleach series. Alright, whatever, Shunsui, I guess that's what you pride yourself most in, so okay, whatever. Anyway, Nanao jumps off the building to go relay the message, to which Lilia asks, are we done chit-chatting? Oh, no. Lilia, no. Apparently you've never been in a fight with Shunsui, alright? It's basically you're either gonna get drunk or you're gonna be chatting your head off, okay? It's one of the two. You're not really going anywhere else. But anyway, I also want to bring up the fact that now Nanao is away from the fight and that Shunsui was kind of, making a big deal, hey, Nanao, you better get out of here. This could possibly be setting it up for Shunsui's Bankai. We don't get any information about his Bankai in this chapter, but from what little we do know about it, his Bankai is something that affects a wide area, and if anybody else aside from the enemy can see it, they will get sucked into their Bankai, into his Bankai as well. And this was, enough that Ukitake mentioned you shouldn't use your Bankais where others could see, as if they could get maybe drawn up in it and they could get damaged or possibly killed as well. So hey, you got a big open rooftop here, Shunsui. Nobody else is around you. Nanao is gone. So hey, if you want to use it, now would be the freaking time. But anyway, let's just tuck that back in our minds for the moment because now we have to explain how a children's game works. Ah, yes, well, if we're explaining how the game works, I suppose I should start with the basics. Yes, let's begin with pendulum summoning. It's the crux of the entire game, really. So, basically, you're gonna have two pendulum scales on either side of the field, and in order to summon one, you have to make sure that both scales are...
And on that note, I am unsubscribing.
No, of course, we're not talking about that game. We're talking about another children's game. And that is, of course, Daruma-san Fell Over, which is basically red light, green light, and Shunsui just basically explains the rules for, I guess, anybody that just didn't know how the game operated or just look it up as the end of the last chapter, like I'm pretty sure most of us did. But anyway, he states that there are 3 rules. First, whoever's it must be in a place where they can be seen by all the other players. Second, if the players are seen moving by whoever's it, then they lose. And lastly, if the players can touch whoever's it before they are noticed, then they win. Oh yes, I certainly won. Oh wow, that seems like really complicated. Well, can't we play something a little bit more simple? I don't know, what do you have in mind? Well, I guess I'm pretty good at tic-tac-toe. Oh, okay, yeah, sure, we can play that. Okay, cool. But I get to be X's? You are... Oh, you could go fuck yourself. Actually, to Shunsui's surprise, Lilia is already a little bit familiar with the game, although wherever he's from, he calls it chocolate inglaise. And this is where we get into a little bit of translations here. There was actually one earlier, but I wanted to make sure this one got brought up before we did this. Okay, so there was a little bit of confusion considering that Shunsui, when he begins to explain the game, Daruma-san fell over, he refers to Lilia as an Arrancar. Or doesn't directly. Basically what the line goes is, although it only makes sense that an Arrancar wouldn't have ever played Daruma-san fell over. So that gave the implication that he was referring to Lilia as an Arrancar. Here's what the translation really, and this was a problem that happened in both translations, the Manga Panda and the Manga Stream. It was actually thanks to a poster on the Bleach subreddit, oh god bless the Bleach subreddit, that this was, somebody picked up the slack and actually determined the actual translation. So what it actually says in the original Japanese is that Shunsui was referring to Mr. Number 1 Arrancar, who, as we all know, is Coyote Stark. So basically, what he was saying is that Lilia knows all of Shunsui's abilities from his previous fights, however, he never played Daruma-san fell over with Stark, therefore Lilia should have no knowledge of it. That's what he meant. Also, the translation on chocolate inglaise, or inglaise, or however you pronounce that, that was also skewed a little bit in the Manga Panda version, although it was corrected here. But the idea that he calls Lilia an Arrancar, and then in the next panel, pretty much, Lilia says a Spanish phrase, gets everyone thinking that, okay, what's going on here? So, here's the case. Here's the situation we have. The first one, that was just a translation issue. The issue with Lilia saying chocolate inglaise, it means that he has Spanish lineage, or he's from a Spanish culture, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's an Arrancar. But I can see where a lot of people were confused by this because the Arrancars have such a strong Spanish motive, and of course, when you think of the Spanish language and the Bleach series, what's the first thing that's going to pop into your mind? Oh. Oh, wow. Geez, you guys have problems. I mean, that's just stereotypes right there. You just, no, for shame, really. Ew. But, yeah, so that's basically where it accounts from. Remember, all the Quincy's were originally human, so they have their own backgrounds, and Lilia is just from a Spanish or Latino background. That's all there is to it. No connection to the Arrancars whatsoever. Okay, that's all good. Well, since Lilia is already kind of with a game that's similar to Daruma-san fell over, he brings up the fact in order for that game to start, for that game to be started, Shunsui had to notice his Reiatsu, and then part of the game is that whenever Shunsui notices whoever is it, which would be Lilia, on top of that building, the Katen Kyokatsu makes like a bridge from wherever Shunsui is standing to wherever Lilia is in the shortest amount of distance possible in order to, tag whoever's it, to make it, more simple, in order for, Shunsui not to climb to the top of the building at just like a straight line is like formed like a bridge. And Shunsui hops on that bridge to go head toward Lilia, and at the same time, Lilia only sees an illusion created by Shunsui, and that's the thing that we saw shot last chapter, and he figures out that's the case. However, Lilia warns Shunsui that if he ever at one point figured out that that was actually an illusion, and the real Shunsui was heading directly for him, then the game would have been over and that Shunsui would have died. Shunsui does not deny this, but he states that he should have explained the games anyway. Lilia asked the question of, why are you even explaining the game to me whatsoever? You should have had, a perfectly prime opportunity just to keep attacking. Don't even explain the game. Just keep attacking me and you'll have the advantage. However, Shunsui brings up the fact that now that we both know the rules, now it can actually be called a game. So, Shunsui is... I really liked his character whenever he just stabbed Stark in the back, whenever Love and Rose was fighting Stark, and then after Shunsui stabbed in the back with Kageoni, Love had to be all freaking high and mighty and be like, you shouldn't really be breaking in on other people's fights, that's going against honor, the code of the warrior and shit like that. That's really kind of a scumfuck thing to do. And Shunsui's like, dude, this is a war. I'm gonna take any basic attack I can get, And that, I didn't exactly phrase it like that, but that was basically the idea. Like, shut up, Love. Just freaking, these are the enemies. You take whatever shot you can get. I don't care if it's fair. Bow, wow, wow, boo-hoo. You can cry about it after the battle. What's more important is that we win right now. And that was something I really loved about Shunsui's character. That was like the high moment for him, for me anyway. And now we have Shunsui being like, oh, now it's time to fight fair. I'm like, I don't know. Shunsui brings up the one flaw with Lille's explanation, and he states that the thing that he saw, the thing that he shot, and we saw, the blood coming out of Shunsui's illusion. That wasn't actually an illusion in the sense that it was like cast by Katen Kyokatsu. What all that was just a massive Ryatsu that Shunsui collected together to make the shape of him, because he goes on to explain, and this gives us a little bit of introspection on exactly how sensing Ryatsu works. See, on spiritually aware beings that, you know, are like on Shinigami and Quincy, they're on the level that they can sense Ryatsu, like power sensing. He states that you are using your eyes and your Ryatsu sense in order to determine a person's, you know, existence or where they're at. And you use both of these subconsciously. And this actually calls back to one moment back in the Fullbringer arc. Remember when Ginjo was training with Ichigo, and in order for Ginjo to make Ichigo more sense his Ryatsu or get to grips with regaining his power, Ginjo slashed out Ichigo's eyes. And then he had the image of seeing Ginjo with his Ryatsu sense. So that's kind of going back to what that is. But you're subconsciously using both if you're, you know, if you're a spiritually aware being like a Shinigami. However, Quincy's also have this power, and in fact, Quincy's have it even better because they can sense Ryatsu on a wider scale, and Lille should be even especially gifted at this because his whole deal is, you know, marksmanship, you know, using a rifle to shoot at opponents. So his Ryatsu sense is probably like one of the best in the entire series, and this is kind of his downfall because since Ryatsu was all clumped together in a hardened mass that Shunsui created it, that Lilia just completely mistook it for Shunsui. And he states that, oh, I you know, an expert like me would never make such a mistake. And then Shunsui just kind of cuts him off, and he's just like, oh no, you would, because I am the Captain Commander of the Gotei 13, Kyoraku Shunsui. Oh my... Fuck, that was awesome! Alright, well anyway, Lilia, as you could expect, the reaction that I had from that, is completely staring in awe at Shunsui's epic powers, to which he turns around and begins to take shots at him, where he actually breaks off the part of his muzzle that Shunsui cut off last chapter. Now he's just firing with the base of his gun, but considering these are all just Ryatsu weapons, he probably doesn't even need the barrel to begin with, so he keeps shooting at him. However, Shunsui is now playing the Daruma-san game again. And it seems that it's repeating the process where Lille takes a shot at him, looks like it hits Shunsui, but then it turns out that that's just an illusion, and the real Shunsui is using Kage Oni behind him, so I guess he can activate both games at the same time. Alright, I guess, was that ever confirmed that he could play 2 games at the same time? I think in the anime, when he was playing Iro Oni with Stark, you know, he also mixed in some Kage Oni there, but I don't know if that was actually in the manga. That might have just been some filler scenes in the anime. But regardless, the real Shunsui is hiding in the shadows, so he attempts to use Kage Oni to attack him. However, since Lille's already kind of familiar with this technique because he knew about it in Shunsui's data, that he's able to avoid it, and Shunsui even gives him praise, like, oh wow, that's the first time anyone's able to dodge Kage Oni on the first shot. And Lille just repeats himself, I already know all your powers, to which Shunsui then realizes that he's bleeding. So one of the attacks that Lille, one of the, you know, shots he fired out managed to, like, graze Shunsui and hurt him a little bit there. And then we have the obligatory moment where Lilia, of course, has to explain his abilities and who he is, because it's just that kind of chapter. Sternritter X, the X-axis, Lilia Vero. My power is the power to pierce through anything and everything. Well, what a coincidence. I used that power on your mom last night. So Lilia shoots him again directly in the chest, but of course, considering that it's been done about 4 times in this chapter and last chapter alone, you can tell it doesn't really work out. You seem quite fond of shadows, no? So then we have a shadowed Shunsui appear behind him, and it looks like a shadow at first, but then it begins to take the form of Shunsui, stating this is a new game called Kagyo Kuri, which the shadow actually becomes a physical being. So basically how this game works is you take a shadow of yourself, and it's supposed to be like on a flat surface outside that's supposed to be very bright, like a white, you know, sidewalk or driveway or something, and if you look at your shadow long enough, and then you look up at the blank sky, you're supposed to see an outline of your shadow in the sky. And once again, Shunsui's playing on the weakness that since Lilia's Ryatsu sense is just so damn keen and heightened that even seeing a shadow such as his would appear to be, you know, solid form Shunsui. That's why he can't really focus on seeing all the shots there. So I don't really know how Lilia's gonna get around this, because it's his Ryatsu sense that's really fucking with him, and now Shunsui knows this. So I don't know if he's gonna do something to suppress his Ryatsu sense, or maybe he's gonna open his other eye and then fight with his eyes. You know, I don't really know how this is gonna go about it. But anyway, Shunsui just states that since I've already gotten a hold of your hand, we might as well play until one of us drops dead, referring to the act that, once a child starts, once a child starts asking you to play with them and you start, you're going to be stuck that way forever, especially if you're in the Catholic Church. But anyway, that's enough of that. I'm such a dick. Actually, I'm a vampire! But yes, that's the end of the chapter, which, like I said, not really much action, mostly just dialogue. So, as I said, a setup for Shunsui's Bankai is certainly likely now. I think that's what Kubo's setting it up, of course, because there's nobody around him, and Nanao's gonna go, and, Nanao's probably not gonna come back, or she might come back just when the battle's ending or something like that. She's probably gonna go back, tell everyone to move forward, and then that's probably gonna be the time when Shunsui's gonna activate their Bankai, and I have no idea what it is, but that's not really about that. So, I hope we get to see a couple more games, though, being played before he goes into Bankai. My theory on Shunsui's Bankai, in case you're curious, is that it's moving on from child games to adult games, in the sense of, like, more strategic games, games that have more of a structure, like, such as chess and the like, stuff like that, although I could be completely wrong. Somebody gave up an idea that since Shunsui's personality, it could be, like drinking games, or it could be, like, gambling to a sense, because that kind of fits his personality there. But, as for Lilia, we really got nothing more on his abilities. We've really not explained, what his gun really does, or, what's the deal with his eye, or what his power's, like, truly hidden. He still has a Voltstandig, which we've seen him do. One thing I wanted to mention about Lilia, because it's been a little bit of a confusion going on. I've gotten a lot of questions about this. So people have been curious exactly what Lilia shoots. Is it just like a straight, line that just obliterates everything from point A to point B? But he also has shot bullets before that were deflected by Nimaya. That was before he got the power-up from Yuha. Before he got the power-up from Yuha, he performed the Oswal, and his powers were limited to the point where I guess he could just shoot regular hardened Ryatsu bullets. And because they were just regular bullets, that Nimaya was able to cut them with his Sayabuse, and Kiryu Hikefune even brought that up, that they were hardened bullets of Ryatsu that the Tree of Life absorbed. But then after he got the Oswal performed on him and he went into Voltstandig, then he was able to use his full, abilities, which just ixnayed the bullets altogether, and just everything from a straight line was obliterated. Right? Does that clear everything up? All right. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed. That's all from me, Vampire Teching. I will be back next week. I'm going to be here all month, so you best be ready. Maybe I'll even explain my backstory. I'm a vampire. I just ended up living here. I probably have an interesting backstory. I do. I obviously know it. I'm not just making it up on the spot here. Alright, so, was I a pirate, or... No, that's stupid. Who ever heard of a vampire pirate? Maybe I was in England. Yeah, let's go with that.